Festival last week, we talked and racked our brains and tried to come up with a name other than the ODF Trio, and this has been going on for a couple weeks, and unfortunately by the time the Multicultural Festival rolled around, we still hadn't come up with a name. So last Wednesday, we decided to try to stretch our brains one more time, and we came up with the name, are you ready?
We're ready.
With the name MAH00022. Look at the looks on her face. MAH00022.
Why?
Because we took the first letters of our middle names for May, and we took the first letters of our middle names and our last names and put it together for McCrae. If you can be the Waylon Jennings or the whatever else, certainly you can be a May McCrae, and it's all right.
We got it. Yep.
It's all right.
There you are.
The M&M's from the U&U's.
M&M's from the, yeah,
M&M's from you.
Instead of the Dixie Chicks, I would have liked the River Ducks.
We'll take that under advisement.
If every woman in the world had her mind set on freedom, if every woman in the world dreamed a sweet dream of peace, if every woman of every nation, young and old, each generation, held her hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every man in the world had his mind set on freedom, if every brother stood with brother as a witness for peace, if every man of every nation, young and old, each generation, held his hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every leader in the world shared a vision of freedom, if every leader in the world shared a sweet dream of peace, if every leader of every nation worked for justice and liberation, holding hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every nation in the world set a true course for freedom, if every nation raised its children in a culture of peace, if all our sons and all our daughters reached in friendship across the waters, refusing to be enemies, there would be no more war.
There you have it, the MAH00022's. Wonderful harmony, wonderful
That's
harmony.
nice.
Ladies, we do appreciate all your hard work.
Yes, we do.
It's just more than music to our ears, it touches our hearts. Now Annie is going to introduce our speaker.
I feel honored to introduce our state representative, who is also a professor of economics and finance for the last 25 years at the community college, Dr. Jim Glenn. He is a champion of community colleges. He is a wonderful man and a champion for the middle class. State Representative Jim Glenn.
Almost
teacher. I talk loud enough. I'm gonna need the mic. I'm Jim Glenn. What I'm gonna do is give you a quick overview of who I am. I'm gonna talk about education as a passion. Before I came here, I went to church this morning, and I did greeting ministry this morning, I did food ministry this morning, and I did Dollar Club ministry this morning in church. Greeting ministry means I held the door open for like 600 people coming to church this morning. Food ministry, I buy a case of food non-stop every time I come to church, every month. So I do it on a regular basis because there's so many people who are hungry in this world. My father was a policeman, and he died 20 years ago. My mother still lives on a policeman's pension. But the reason that's so important is what my father did allowed myself and my sisters to change our lives. And don't get me wrong, I know he didn't think about it. But my father put steak and eggs on the table every day. Did I say some days? Every day, non-stop. And I don't think he thought about it. And I never thought about it. What happens in the elementary schools, kids come to school every day hungry. So when the teacher's talking about mathematics and history and science and stuff like that, they are thinking, when is lunch going to be served? Because I'm hungry. And they don't focus on what they need to learn. And they miss those lessons in elementary school. And it catches up with them eventually when they get to college, because you're not prepared, things of that nature. The information was presented, but they didn't think about that. And as I got older, I thought about it. I went, crap, I want to make sure I put steak and eggs on the table for my kids. Again, they don't think about it, but they're never hungry. They don't have to worry about where the meals come from, things of that general nature. And it's something, as a parent, you should do. Now, here's the effect of what my father did. Every one of us went to a community college. I went to a community college. My wife went to a community college. Both my children went to a community college. Both my sisters went to a community college. And that was all to keep the cost low on my father. Having said that, we all have college degrees. We graduated from Illinois, Wisconsin, Cornell, Kentucky, and my son just finished his last semester of his PhD at University of Maryland. So Maryland will be added to the list shortly also. Now you go, well, what's the big deal? In Owensboro, this community, only 17% of the population have a four-year college degree. That's only 1 out of 6. I just told you 100% of us have a college degree. And there's only 1 out of 6 in this community. It impacts how much money you can make. It impacts how you handle your family. It impacts your overall view of life. It impacts your health over the long haul. And my father, who had a high school degree, my mother who had a high school degree, I don't think they realized what they were doing. The only thing my mother said, and my mother's 85 years old, and she still lives on a policeman's pension. The only thing she said is, you know what? She told me this to my face. She said, out of all my friends, you and your sisters are the only ones who never came back home. You know, what happens is you get divorced and stuff like that. You end up coming home, you move back in with your parents, all that kind of good stuff. She said, you guys never did that. And first I thought it was a negative. Then I realized she was trying to give me a compliment. I couldn't figure it out. Here's how I got here. My background is printing. I sold $45 million of printing sales from Erie, Pennsylvania, and Omaha, Nebraska. My father came to me and said, you know what, your children need you more than they need the money. You need to rethink about what you're doing. My wife, who had a master's degree from Wisconsin, did not work. She didn't work for 10 or 12 years. She stayed at home and took care of the kids. I mean, she didn't work outside the home. Taking care of the kids and working, so. So I came home and told my wife, I said, we're going to move in 180 days, which is 6 months. She said, where are we going to move to? I said, I have no idea. She said, what are you going to do? I said, I have no idea. Be ready to go in 180 days. In 6 months, I got 3 job offers. I got a job offer at a college in Minnesota. I got a job offer at a college in Illinois, and I got a job offer here. I came here because, one, when I was taking the job interview, I mentioned my wife, who was sitting in the hallway, had a master's degree from Wisconsin, and she wasn't working. They stopped the interview and went out in the hall and said, have you got a master's degree from Wisconsin? She said, yeah. They said, you want a job? She said, I didn't come here for a job. I just came here to support my husband. So And they said, we have a job here teaching. She said, I don't have a resume, I don't have anything. I said, would you want me to type one out? She said, I'll do that. They offered her a job right on the spot. Let me tell you, my wife could flat out, I'm sorry, my wife has been dead for 5 years. She died of cancer. Matter of fact, before I came here, I'm sorry, she's buried across the street from the church I go to. So when I came out of church this morning, I went across the street to her gravesite and talked to her for a while. But anyway, she could flat out teach. She won Teacher of the Year at the Owensboro Community and Technical College. She won Teacher of the Year for the entire state of Kentucky at the community college level. She received a plaque from UK for great teacher. She received a $1,000 check, which we bought Coca-Cola stock with. I got the dividend check on that Coca-Cola stock beginning of this month. And I invested the money. I'm sorry, I teach finance. I've been teaching finance for 20 years at community college. So I'm investing money all the time. So I took $1,000 she got, bought Coca-Cola stock with, and I'm still getting dividends off that Coca-Cola stock to this day. And I got a dividend check at the beginning of August, which is the beginning of this month, and I invested the money. Because I'm like that. I still invest money. And so that's how we got here. So I'm talking about teaching as a passion. A lot of people told us when we first came, I've been here for over 25 years. When we came, people told us to our face, you're not going to stay. And I told my wife said, you know what? It's our job to increase the educational skills of the kids here. And we didn't do it for the money. If we'd have done it for the money, we'd have left a long time ago. We did it because it's what we do, and we do extremely well. And my wife taught education, and this is what most people don't understand about education. The first discipline most kids go to, especially young women, community college is mostly young girls, the first discipline they go to is nursing. When they can't get through that, they flunk out of nursing. The next program they go to is business. I teach business. I teach econ, I teach finance, I teach marketing, I teach management. Okay? The next discipline that comes is me. When they flunk out of my discipline, because it happens. If you don't think left brain, not because you're not smart. Business, math, and science is all taught left brain. If you're not a left brain thinker, you ain't gonna survive in that discipline. I'm being point blank. The last place you go before you flunk out of school is education, which is what my wife taught. By the time they got to her, the kids were angry, they were mean, they knew this was the last stop before they leave school. So my wife was really good at teaching. She knew what they need to know. So she taught them what they need to know. The problem is we were teaching kids who didn't understand education. There's a lot of kids who don't understand education. They come and they think education is what they see on TV. They just don't grab and understand. They cut my wife up on her evaluations non-stop. She was teaching them what they needed to know to survive, to get a college degree. They did come back though. When they went off to Western and they had saw what she did, they came back and said, we apologize. My wife told me, she said, I got another student that came back to my office today. I said, what did they say? They told me they were sorry. They cut me up on my evaluation and they said they didn't know what I was doing. And not only they didn't know it, they thought she didn't know what she was doing. She was crapping good at what she did. The problem is, the way school evaluations run, part of our pay is set on how students evaluate you. So her pay is cut permanently. When they come back and say, I'm sorry, they don't change my wife's pay. Her pay has been cut for the rest of her life. That's called passion. When you continue doing it, and the people you're doing it for don't understand you're doing them a crap in favor. That's what passion is. And she taught me about teaching. Because my background is printing. I'm hardcore. I'm all about money. Okay? 45 million printing sales. I was business dean at the community college. I managed $8 million of business dean. I worked for the city of Owensboro, the city commissioner. I managed $65 million as city commissioner with a $1.2 million surplus. If you read the paper this morning, the city had a $500,000 deficit. They were in the hole this past year, the city commission, by $500,000. 552,000, I think, Mr. Member said it correctly. I left them with a $1.2 million surplus. Different areas. I've worked in 3 totally different areas. And I'm still like that. I read a book a week, 52 books a year. If I finish reading the book, fine. If I don't finish reading the book, I throw it to the side and I get another book. I see a new movie every week. Every week. Non-stop. Guardian of the Galaxy. You want to see a movie on diversity? Anybody seen that? Guardians of the Galaxy?
Not yet.
It's taken in $250 million already. It's been out for 3 weeks. It's about a raccoon, a tree, a woman who's all green, a man from the United States, and some other guy from some other part of the galaxy. It's all about diversity. They hated each other. They beat up on each other until they had a common enemy. When they had a common enemy, they all came together and worked together. One thing I like about what your paper said here this morning, you said it's all about helping other people.
Yes.
And that's what life is about. You can't do it by yourself. For a doctor to become a doctor, somebody has to teach you to read and write. And it's all done by elementary school teachers. I went to see my doctor last year, for annual physical. And I looked up and there was a lady standing behind him in a white coat. And I said, ma'am, I know you. She said, Dr. Glenn, I was one of your students. She said, I took all your classes. I said, but I teach business. And she said, yeah. And when I took all your classes, I got a business degree. I went off to Eastern Kentucky University, EKU. I switched to biology. I said, congratulations. I said, but when did you become a nurse? She pulled her coat back, and she was a medical doctor. I went, crap. She had gone on to medical school. She said, I went on to medical school. I'm just doing my background training right now with your doctor. I told her, congratulations. You never know who you help in this life, which is what I like about your state. It's all about other people helping other people. We can't make it without other people. Like I said, my father, when I had a high school diploma, helped me get to where I am. Oh, and my father died of brain cancer. Okay? Don't get me wrong, this is 20 years ago. It took my mother 7 years to get her mind right. Okay? It took a long time. I said, Mom, move on. I personally didn't understand until my wife died how hard it was. I sat on the edge of the bed and cried for 3 months. But I was married for 40 years. Both my children have a son and a daughter. My son's at the University of Maryland, College Park. I tell you, he just finished his last semester on his PhD, and he still has to write his dissertation. Oh, the University of Maryland just offered him a job teaching there. So he's taught at Cornell, he's taught at UK, he started his doctorate in UK and left halfway through his doctorate. I got my doctorate from UK. And then he went on to Maryland. Now he'll be teaching all big dog universities. And my daughter's a mechanical engineer and a manager for Duke Energy, which is the largest power company in the United States. But you do stuff like that. One of the things you learn is other people help you. And my father helped us by, I didn't realize that, by, number one, giving a household stability. And he did that by being there every day. He did that by buying food every day. He did that by buying electricity. When I was a small kid, my wife, my daughter, I misspoke. My sister and I would go in the closet and cut the lights on and then close the closet door. It would drive my father crazy because he was paying the electric bill for these, the electric bill. He would open all the closets in the house, cut the lights out. He never said anything. But my sister and I would be hiding. We would just be laughing like crazy. I didn't understand that until I got older and I was paying the electric bill. It wasn't funny. Okay. But anyway, that's basically it. It's about educating people. I start all my classes off by first opening the book and explaining to students, how do you read a textbook? It sounds very simple. It is not as simple as it appears. Understanding instructions. A lot of students open the book and they read the first chapter. You don't read the first chapter, you look at how the information is broken up. I teach macroeconomics, micro, marketing, and intro during the day and intro business at night this semester. And my first class is how to read a textbook. And I go through and explain that. I go through and explain information. Like I said, I shouldn't say that. That's misleading you. I teach something new that my students did not know every class. It's not some of the time, it's all the time. My job in this right here is to tell you something you didn't know. I can tell you this. I was telling them in the break room in here, I teach finance. So most people can't save money. I explained to them, this is what I want you to do. I had students that, we work on minimum wage, we can't save money. And I did this 3 years in a row, and I'm still doing it. I'll tell you what I'm doing right now. I said, don't buy pop one day each week. Because everybody in the room raised their hand, they buy pop at the vending machine down the hall. The pop costs $1.75 for a 20-ounce bottle.
Wow.
That's what pop costs. And everybody buys it at the vending machine. Oh, the school makes money off that, then they give it back to the students as scholarship money. So the money doesn't go away. If you don't buy pop one day a week, you save 25 cents a day. If you do that for a year, you save $91.25. I told the students, put it in the bank. They said it costs $500 on my bank account. I said, no, let's think outside the box. If you open a Christmas Club account, it costs between $1 and $10 according to what bank you go to. So I went down to BB&T. They don't do it. BB&T don't do it anymore. Now I'm going out to South Central, which is over behind Walmart. I go down to South Central. I open up a Christmas Club account. I open it with $10. I put 25 cents a day in. At the end of the year, they send me a check for $101.25. I drive the money to Louisville. I don't drive it on purpose. I wait till I'm going to Louisville or going to Lexington. There's a bank downtown called River City Bank. They offer $100 CDs. I put it in the bank in a $100 CD. And I've been, like I said, I've done it 3 times. What I'm working on now is how to save enough money to open a balanced mutual fund. A balanced mutual fund is 60% stocks, 40% bond. That's the next step. I've been working on this for 2 years. The first year, last year I saved $520. You know how much interest I got off of $520? We were talking about mutual funds earlier. No, you did. The interest I got off of $520 was 4 cents. I saved $520, and all the interest I got off of was 4 pennies. Now I got $476 in the bank. All I need is 1,000. I need $4 more to get to 1,000. And then I'll be able to buy a $1,000 mutual fund, which is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show people how to pack money away for their retirement, which is a lot of people are going to be confronted by this problem as they move forward. A lot of people don't understand money, don't understand the dynamics that are going on. So that's my next project, to show students how it can be done. I'm saving 25 cents a day. I'm saving loose change. I'm taking the money off my Coca-Cola stock, dividends, shove it in the bank. I'm taking money that I found on the street, quarters, dimes, and nickels. You'd be surprised how much money people lose. Okay? I mean, in the parking lot. When they're taking their keys out of their pocket, they'll pull quarters out, they'll pull dollars out, and they'll lay in the parking lot when I get out there at night. I don't walk the whole parking lot. I just walk to my car and just notice there's money sitting there. I put it in there, and I take it to the bank next day. I'm serious. I'm going to take it to the bank next day. There's dollar bills, there's quarters, there's dimes, there's nickels. And people don't realize they put them out. When they pull their keys out, they pull the money out, and it's on the street. And I leave school like at 8:30 at night, so there's nobody in the parking lot. So I take the money, and I take it to the bank the next day. And I always save the money. But that's what I do. But I still read 30 to 40 newspapers a month. I still read a book a week. I still go to the movies every week, 52 times a year. I take 4 vacations a year, every 90 days. I go to see a live entertainment every 90 days. The next one I'm going to see will be Gladys Knight, who played, it used to be Gladys Knight and the Pips, but now it's just Gladys Knight. It's in downtown Louisville. My daughter called me up and said, Daddy, Gladys Knight's playing, would you buy tickets? And I said, oh.
Would you buy tickets?
Wait a minute, that's not the good one. Okay. The good one's when she called me up and said, Dad, I've never been to the Kentucky Derby. Okay. I said, yeah. I said, what do you want me to do about that? She said, have you seen the cost of the Kentucky Derby? I said, no. She said, would you buy tickets? She said, I'll call my brother and tell him he can come too. It's a true story. So I took my son and his girlfriend, my daughter and her friend, My son called me up and said, Dad, you need to have somebody yourself. He said, find some young lady who wants to go to the Kentucky Derby and who hasn't been. So I took somebody to Kentucky. My kids called me up and said, Dad, would you do this? I said, only if it doesn't cost too much money. But I took them to Kentucky. My daughter called me up and said, I didn't go see God last night. But I try to see. I saw Bill Cosby last year. I saw Lionel Richie last year, who was saying he's really good. He's as good as he is on TV. But I try to see somebody live, real entertainment. Johnny Mathis, Smokey Robinson. I try to see somebody live on a regular basis, like every 90 days. And for me, it keeps my brain flexible. It keeps my energy going. Because what happens is, the problem is you'll sit there and you'll drink coffee in your pajamas and you'll watch Oprah every day. And life does not move on. And life will stop standing still for you. I had to figure out some way to keep myself going. My wife would do it all the time. My wife would say, I want to do this, I want to do that. She's not there to do that anymore. I got to figure out somebody to keep my juices going. And so that's what I do. Okay? Keep going. Did you have any questions? I'm sorry, I don't know how long I've spoken. Yes, sir?
When I was about 10 years old, I opened up a savings account.
Yes, sir.
At that particular time, I paid 5.65%.
That's good money.
And it was compounded daily.
Yes, I've done that. Yes.
How did we get from compounding daily to compounding once a year?
The money worldwide has changed. They're having a tough time finding places to invest money, and they keep the interest rates low. It's good for the elderly on their money. I shouldn't say that. It's good. It's not good on CDs. Because I put some money in. I was reading the paper one time when my kids were small, and there was a bank in New York City called Manufacturer Hanover. And they said, if you send us your money, we will pay you 14% interest.
Ooh.
That's exactly what I saw when I saw the ads. All that means the bank is in trouble.
Yeah.
So I called them up on the phone Monday morning. It was Chicago Sun-Times. The ad was in. Called them up on the bank. I see your hand. I called them up on the bank, and they said, yeah, we'll do that. We'll send you the money back after 6 months. So I sent them a check, and they sent me the money back with 14% interest added onto it.
Wow.
That's good money, but you can't get that kind of money anymore. Every bank, everywhere. It's not some of the places. I have talked to my students, and the college I go to last year had 2 programs on how to save money for retirement. They're telling all of us, and these are financial consultants, they're telling us nobody's paying any money, any place in the country. You have to move to aggressive saving. That means you have to put more money in, which is exactly what I'm doing. Okay? That's what it's all about. You have to be really aggressive in saving money now. You can't be a sissy, you can't be sitting on the side, because interest rates don't pay enough. Yes, sir, I saw your hand.
Back in that must have been in the 80s when they were.
It was. Yes, sir, it was.
But we was paying 22% on mortgages and things.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yep.
it was good for my dad and mom.
Uh-huh.
They were making a lot of money on the CDs, but it wasn't good for the kids.
No.
No.
Nope. But now they've driven the prices down so low now, you can't make money on anything anymore. And you got to put money away for retirement, you have to aggressively save, which is what I'm telling my students. And when you put the money in, you've got to figure out where to pull additional money from and sock it away. Because you're not going to make it on compounding. You're not going to make it on expansion of money in that manner. Did I answer your questions for you? Because I don't want to. One of the things I hate is leaving a classroom and you say, "Now I really want to ask him that." Yes, sir.
My next question would be, when I was a 10-year-old child,
Yes, sir.
it was a big thing to buy a U.S. savings bond.
Yes, sir.
What happened to U.S. savings bonds?
You have to go directly to the Treasury. They are not offering those things to the bank anymore. They stopped that a year ago.
Oh, really?
And that was a real easy way for people who did not have any money. Here's what my mother did. I went to visit my mother once, and she said, have lunch with me. I said, Mom, I really don't have any time. I said, I got to get back to Owensboro. I got to teach. I'm squeezed on time. She says, what I want you to do, she had almost lived on Social Security. She's still on Social Security and the pension plan. And she gave me a $20 bill. She said, I want you to buy a sandwich on the way home. I said, Mom, I got a job. I said, I really don't need the money. So I put the $20 bill back on the kitchen table. And my mother's no higher than about this high. She said, let me give you a hug before you go. True story. And so I was at the front door, she gave me a hug, and while she was hugging me, where do you think she put that $20 bill? Back in my coat pocket, exactly. So I'm going down the expressway, I reach in my coat pocket for some gum to chew while I'm driving back to Owensboro, and pull out a $20 bill. I said, crap, she wants me to buy a sandwich. So what I did, this is a true story, I stopped the next Burger King off the expressway. And the burgers, Whoppers were $1 a Whopper. So I pulled in the Burger King, got a Whopper and a glass of water. Because that's how I am. Okay? And I still do that. I go to McDonald's today and buy a $1, they sell a sandwich with onions and cheddar cheese on it. They charge $1 for it. I get that sandwich and a glass of water. It costs me $1 for lunch. And I'm that cheap. But I'm still like that, and I still aggressively save. Even though there's nobody, my kids are grown and gone. I put the $19. I can take it back and put it in. I put it in BB&T. I bought a U.S. savings bond with it. I put another $6 with it. I still have that U.S. savings bond to this day.
So it has matured by now, right?
Oh, heck yeah. It matures after about 30 years, and then it rolls, or 20 years, and then you take it and you roll it from an E to an H. So it keeps growing. Okay? Did I answer your question for you?
Yes.
Any other questions? I like talking about business. I can be here for like 3 days.
No kidding.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we audit a class of yours?
All you do is contact the school. I can tell you point blank. Every time you see me, you will learn something you never, ever knew. And I didn't say some of the time. You come to my class, you sit down. I'm not talking about the crap in the textbook. I talk about something all the time that you did not know. All the time. But that's how I teach. I've always taught that way. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned students don't know how to read a textbook.
Reading a textbook is not easy.
Can you give like a little example of that?
Like intro to business. I remember something correct. I did it this week. I think it's intro to business. Roman numerals information is in red. Like Roman numeral 1, and then letter A would be in green. 1, 2, 3 would be in black. And the book is all structured that way. Most people just never notice how it's structured. So every time you see red information, they've changed the information they're giving you. So in red, it may say something like how the economic world has changed. And that's chapter 1, page 4 in intro book. The green area would be why study business. It will be why study business. Then it'll be then 1, 2, 3 in black will be why the reason we study business, become better informed. Is to take in new information, to study information on being a better consumer and investor. Those are all bullet points under why we study business. So it'll be red, and every time the red changes, the core information you're taking in is changing, which means you have to change how you think. You can't read all that information the same because it's not all the same. So what you do when you're reading, you bring to the front of your mind everything you know about that subject. Everybody knows. For some reason, people think they don't know anything. You know tons of information. We're the sum total of all our experiences, which means you have come across a lot of stuff in your life. You bring everything to the front of your head about that subject you know that you've experienced in your life. It's called active reading. When I read, I actually write in the margins when I'm reading. Did I answer your question for you? Okay. Yes, sir.
The senior citizens get a discount going to school.
Yes, sir. You do. They give you, if my memory serves correctly, the University of Kentucky gives you a Donovan grant that you get your tuition for free. The only thing you have to do is buy your books. But all senior citizens 65 and over get a Donovan grant at the community college and at UK. And you get education for free. Okay?
Wow. Say that word again.
Donovan. Donovan. It's called a Donovan Scholarship or a Donovan Grant. It's called a Donovan Scholarship. I've never taken it, but I do know they have it. And you go to school for free as long as you're 65 and older. Okay? My mother was so happy when she went to a community college. My mother only has a high school diploma. So she went to community college to take a computer class, how to operate. She got a student ID card. Now she's a college student. She's 85 years old. she was having a good time. Can I ask you a question for you? Anybody else? Listen, I want you guys to enjoy yourself. Make sure you eat all your vegetables. Yes, ma'am.
What's the best source for free economic tips if you live in Owensboro? What are some things that you would go to for economic?
You gotta
outside
read.
of, like,
You gotta read a lot of information because you don't know who's gonna give it to you.
the last best book you read on practical finance, whether or not you're in school.
But I read a lot of different books on finance. I really do.
Or a website.
Yeah, they're giving me. I actually can't give you a one off the top of my head because I'm reading information on an ongoing basis because they all give you different blocks of information. Like the book I read last night. This is down in the public library. I read it last night on when women make more money than men. I sat in the library last night for an hour and scanned through that book. How do you keep your marriage together when you as a woman make substantially more money than your husband? And our society tells you that's not supposed to happen. How do you keep your marriage together? It ain't easy. The book was explaining to women, the adjustments you have to make, when that happens. Because society expects something, your husband has expectations,
Yes.
and then they tell you to stop trying to clean the entire crap in the house. Hire another wife to clean the house for you. But I'm just gonna be honest. The house still has to be clean. If he ain't gonna do it, you gotta get somebody gonna do it. What I found in that book yesterday is that for every $1,000 in increased salary that a woman makes, it costs her $17 in laundry, in cleaning toilets, and cleaning her clothes to survive. For every $1,000 in increased salary a man makes, it only costs him $9. It actually costs a woman more money. I learned that yesterday. Which means you just learned something new that book was just printed. Yes, ma'am.
I have two questions. Maybe you did answer it and I didn't hear the answer. But is there a quality website for people that are money down that want to just kind of keep going?
Just go on the
Something
website and
you
just
recommend?
pump in personal finance.
But is there a specific one you recommend for everybody? Teenagers or senior citizens?
Finance.
Teenagers. I'm sorry.
Oh, the
Yeah.
book, the black
I do have a book called Personal Finance for Dummies. But I read a wide gamut of books on finance because I teach the stuff, so I'm taking the information nonstop, and I'm reading a wide gamut of stuff. I'm reading for just general worldwide information. How is stuff changing? And everything in life is changing now. It's not the same, and it's a struggle. And most people don't realize that. Most people think our world works like it did in 1950. Here's what a lot of people don't understand. The really wealthy in this country are killing this society.
Absolutely.
And poor people think at some point in time they're going to become wealthy.
No.
Not going to crap and happen.
No.
Period. Won't happen. What you're trying to do is figure out how to survive as a middle class person or working class person. Because you ain't gonna get $1 billion. You're not gonna be Buffett. You're not gonna be Bill Gates. It's not gonna crap and happen. But you can still make $500,000. $250,000. That can still be done at your level. But you ain't gonna make $1 billion. Which is what most people think that's going to happen to them. Everybody think they can do what Buffett did. Not going to happen. But you still become relatively wealthy. But you got to watch your money. You just can't waste your money. You've got to figure out what to buy. I got your hand. You got to figure out what you're buying and what you're going to do. And you got to constantly read. I watch a business program all day long on business finance, Cable 26. It comes on at probably 5 o'clock in the morning and goes off at probably 6 o'clock at night. And it's on business reports all day long. Who's investing, who's not investing, what the stocks are paying. You got to learn how to read the stock tables. You got to learn how to read the Wall Street Journal. You got to learn who's investing money. When you go into a bank, listed next to the door when you come in are all the interest rates. A lot of people ignore that crap when they go into the bank. I don't ignore it ever. And every time you go into the bank, it's listed there on the side of the wall. Most people don't pay attention to it. You're normally given enough information. I normally listen to stuff like Consumer Price Index. They list that on the 5 o'clock news every month. I did not get a raise in my salary for 4 solid years. My wife said, what are we going to do? I said, I'm going to trim everything. I refinanced my car. I saved $504, $42 a month by refinancing my car. I called my daughter up and said, refinance your car. She said, Dad, I just bought the car. I said, I don't care. Refinance your car. My daughter saved close to $50 a month by refinancing her car. I refinanced my house. I changed my insurance, driving the cost down by $1,000. And that's because, I tell you, I didn't get a raise. And the doctor still called me and charged me the same amount of money. When I go to the grocery store and say, listen, I didn't get a raise. You should sell me the bread and the ground beef for less money. The grocery store manager will laugh you out the door. So you got to change how you think. You got to change what you're doing. I changed all my costs. Inflation's always there. Inflation runs at 3.5% a month. It's called Consumer Price Index. Every month, they'll print. The Consumer Price Index went up 0.2, 0.1, 0.3. It's always point. Then you take that number and multiply it times 12 to find out what the annualized increase of that number is. They put it on 6 o'clock news. They put it on all your life. Tell me how many times you've seen it. Because it's on 6 o'clock news every month. How many times have you seen it? They put it on the news every month. Most people don't pay any attention to it. I do. But you got to pay attention to this stuff. They're giving you information nonstop. It's just the public, nah. They ain't talking about Oprah. They ain't talking about, you know, who kissed who and who shot who. So the public don't pay any attention. They're giving you the information. They just don't explain it to you. Okay? Like, here's another story. My wife, this has to do with education again. When my kids were 2 and 3 years old, my wife baked peanut butter cookies every day. It's all about teaching my kids measurements, what's a spoonful, what's a tablespoon, what's a cupful. And then peanut butter cookies. While I was driving to work down the expressway, they announced the peanut crop in Georgia had failed. I said, oh crap. The supply curve is going, I said, the supply curve is going to shift to the left. Remember, I took you. That's exactly what happened in my head. I pulled up the expressway and went to a 24-hour grocery store. True story. I bought a case of peanut butter. Because I knew that the price of peanut butter was going to climb. I didn't know how much it was going to climb by. But it went from 79 cents to $1.49 almost overnight. Oh. Yeah, that's doubled. Exactly. That's exactly what happened. So I bought it when it was still 79 cents. So I bought a half a case of smooth, half a case of crunchy. My wife says, there's peanut butter on the kitchen table. I said, yeah. She said, why? I said, the peanut crop in Georgia failed. She said, how do you know that? I said, I heard on 6 o'clock news. I did the same thing with chicken. The chickens in Pennsylvania caught the flu. They killed 12 million chickens. I told my wife, I bought a case of chickens, 30. She said, there's a whole box of chickens on the kitchen table. I said, the kitchen, this is a true story. The chickens in Georgia died of flu. She said, what does that mean? I said, price is going to go up. It went up from 49 cents to $1.50. They tripled in price. Wow. And almost virtually overnight. But I bought it when they were 49 cents. I had a freezer at home, which my sister laughed in my face when I got it. She said, now you got to buy frozen dead animals and put in that freezer. Frozen dead animals, chicken, turkey, chicken, and put it in the freezer. And she laughed at me in my face. When I went to her house, you know what she had? The same exact freezer I got. She bought the same exact freezer. But anyway, I'm sorry. You guys probably got other things to do. Is there anything else you want?
No, this is great.
These are all true stories. This all did happen. But again, the supply curve shifts to the left. That means the quantity reduced, price will go up. The chickens will go, a chicken you buy in a grocery store is 3 pounds. So 49 cents times 3 pounds is $1.50. When the chickens go to $1.50, That means each chicken costs $4.50 as opposed to $1.50. It triples in price. I'm not making any more money.
No.
I told you my wife was not working. I had 2 small children at home. They eat every day. And it was my job as a husband and as a father to make sure my kids eat every day. And they didn't have to work. Because when your wife is worried, the kids don't know what's wrong. They just know something is wrong. Something's wrong with mama. My job is to make sure mama's okay. And I did that entire life, the entire time my wife was at home. So number one, she didn't have to worry. I put money in the bank every September, every time I got paid, September, October, and the first paycheck in November for Thanksgiving dinner. I put an extra $20 or $25 in the bank. That's so that when sauce, cranberry sauce, that kind of stuff went on sale, she was able to go down to the store and buy it. So when Thanksgiving dinner comes 2 days before everybody gets paid. I don't know if you guys realize that. It comes on the 28th. You don't get paid until December 1st. So when Thanksgiving dinner comes, you don't have any money actually to buy Thanksgiving dinner. I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
I think you need to teach a new class.
On what?
You need to teach a new class to young people, young couples who are thinking about getting married, about the fact that marriage is not romance, it's a contract.
Exactly.
And they should bring to the table before they sign the paper the money they bring to the marriage, what they hope to accomplish while married, and stop all this nonsense of getting divorced because of finance disagreements.
Not even finances. Everything was not like it was at home at mom and pop. You know, life's a struggle. And it's not all about you. But the problem is, they're not going to listen to me. Kids don't listen to people. Your kids think you're stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Eventually, everything you're telling me, they eventually learn.
Oh, yeah.
But when you're trying to tell it to them, they think you're an idiot. And that's how life is. Because my father got much smarter as I got older. My father didn't change. You know who was changing? Me. I was changing. But he got smarter as I got older. And as I got older, I realized, crap, what my father told me was the truth. Except that when you're young, you don't realize that. You think he's trying to make... My daughter went to Apollo High School. She told me to say, Dad, do not come to Apollo High School and have lunch with me. Because I'm that kind of parent. I went to Burns Middle School and had lunch with my children. Because I'm like that. My daughter told me, Dad, no parents come to the school and have lunch. That's not cool. And she was like that until she went to the UK. When she got to the UK, she came home and she said, Dad, I thought you were a pain in my side. She said, I realize now you're a pretty good guy. She said, I thought you were good. She said, I listen to other kids and how their parents operate. She said, you're darn really good. I said, She said, but it took her a while to realize that. But it took a good 3 or 4 years to realize that I was not a pain in the side. I wasn't an idiot. But you know, kids think you're stupid. They don't realize that from one time you're 15 and 16. They just don't get it.
Oh, no. The world started when they were born.
Exactly. They think what was going on in their lives you never experienced before. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Is there anything else I can do for you?
Thank you.
And I apologize. I talked a little too long. I'm sorry?
We enjoyed it.
Yes.
Thank you.
No apologies.
Jim,
Yes, sir?
I'm glad I went to the bathroom before you started.
Yeah, I know. I did too.